All right, welcome to the finals of the EIZO Holiday, or sorry, whoa, pardon me, yeah, the EIZO Holiday Brawl. I always keep wanting to say Bash for some reason, but it is in fact a brawl, a fight between these two players. And, well, that being said, spawning in the top right corner of the map, playing for Millennium, it's the blue Protoss player, the foreigner, Lilbow.
The bottom left as the red Terran, it's Gumiho.
I feel like a majority of this tournament has been kind of the story of upsets. We've had Lilbow perform well in the past, and that's cool and everything. But to take out Impact, you know, take out a Korean going into the finals, that was pretty cool. I don't think it was impossible. Definitely unexpected. We had Rain finish last in his group. I mean, there's been a lot of weird stuff that's happened in the EIZO Holiday Brawl, and I've enjoyed every second of it, quite frankly.
Yep. Gumiho here because of the curse. Because he's good and skilled and all that, of course.
No.
He did. Oh no, it's the curse. It's the curse.
Yeah.
He just barely lost out in the final series, or won out rather, against Hart, and is out in the finals.
Yeah, I wonder how different this would look if Hart was here. But at the same time, like Gumiho, much respect, you know, going back to that series he played versus Rain, he wasn't shy about bringing out mech. We saw him use tanks versus Hearthstone just now in the semifinals. Lilbow might be this really volatile, scary dude, but Gumiho is not going to be, I think, playing standard every single game, and we'll see how Lilbow adjusts to that.
Yeah, but the question, like, we really have to be like, what is Lilbow going to do? We know how he plays versus Zerg, definitely. Absolutely. But versus Terran, is he going to be like the same guy? He's going to be like super confident, you know, go in when I say go in, and hopefully win the game just by sheer like persistence, determination? Or is he going to play like Hearthstone? That would be quite a difference.
Well, all jokes aside, I am really curious to see if he does go for any all-ins in this series. I mean, there's the sort of later, like the 2-base Colossus macro version of an all-in, I guess you can call it. But there's still things like Blink Stalkers or Proxy DTs or Stargates, as we saw at Hearthstone. I mean, there's definitely a lot of ways you can play this out. But I think one of the biggest strengths Lilbow has coming into this series is I imagine he was probably watching that last set. He's probably trying to see what Gumiho was doing to react to Hearthstone. And in that small way, he does have an edge coming into this because he's seen how Gumiho reacts. Yeah,
that's a really great point. You know, you got to start expecting, I think, Widowmine drop as well if he was watching it.
Absolutely.
And Gumiho's actually not going to go for it this game. So he didn't go for the first game either against Hearthstone. Maybe it is exactly like that comfort zone. Like, well, I'll play like standard until like I lose. And then I'll go for the Widowmine drops. I don't know. But it is to be like a typical 3 racks build for him.
Well, I do like the Reaper. Scouting is such an important part of the matchup. You know, whenever we have a Zerg player playing, we can always talk about like, oh, Zerg's the reactive race. And it's so black and white. But in Terran versus Protoss, and I think this is what dynamically makes this matchup one of my favorite to watch, that role shifts constantly as the game goes on. It starts off with Terran having to be able to deal with whatever opening Lilbow has, and then Lilbow in the mid game has to be able to always see where the medevacs are, or scout which army's coming from what direction. And then the late game, it's really just a matter of who can tango better with what army. So, I mean, I really do enjoy that this will shift, but for now, it is definitely Gumiho's prerogative to make sure he's constantly seeing what he's coming up against.
Yeah. That's why that council means absolutely nothing yet. We'll see if he does anything abnormal, well, cheesy, honestly, with it. And if Gumiho scouts it. I don't know if Gumiho knows anything about Lilbow. He said Lilbow got to see Gumiho, but Gumiho really didn't get to see Lilbow. Not in a matter that, you know, not something that matters.
Sorry about that, guys. Some of you just tapped out to check your Skype. I don't know why that came off of Do Not Disturb. My apologies.
Yeah, New Skype's been doing that. It's like everyone.
It's so annoying. I hate this. Teal Low tweeted at me. He's like, you just download an old version. But I kind of feel like at this point, like, that's like giving in. You're like, no, I can beat this. I can learn the new one. I'm not old. I can adapt to new technology.
It's not about being old. It's about it messing up and bugging out.
Also, I'm going back to Windows 7.
Oh, yeah, I'm still on Windows 7. Are you not on Windows 7?
I'm going back to Windows XP.
There you go.
All right. Well, we do have that sort of typical poke coming out of Gumiho. We're gonna have, of course, the stock get picked off, maybe, but most importantly, beta and overcharge.
Ew.
All right. Nice moves with that concussor shell.
Yep, that's exactly what you want when you go for a concussor shell. I mean, if you can get 2 Saugers, that's obviously better, but 1 is kind of what you're expecting.
Doesn't lose anything for the overcharge either. Gumiho, that is. So can guess kind of sit out here and wait, and then come in with the full force of his army. I don't think Stim will be done, of course, by then, but I'll have a few more Marines on the front lines, and of course, the Stalkers, I mean, for the Marauders' sake, they're only here to really almost be like a net, you know, slow the Stalkers, so the Marines can actually fight them.
Yeah. I don't want to say like Lilbow's being pretty like greedy, because it's not really devastating greed. But, you know, as opposed to getting Blink and then 2 gateways and then a Robo, he just goes straight up to a Robo. So, you know, if he had 3 gateways pumping out Stalkers, doesn't have to worry about this push at all. But with only 5 here and Blink not quite done, it is a little scary.
Absolutely. But the overcharge does wear off, and there's not enough energy for another one. So Reaper jumps up to the high ground. He's going to go to the mineral lines with the probes. If Harsom's not paying, or sorry, Lilbow's not paying attention, that is, he would have killed a lot of probes. But man, it picks off that mothership core really quick. Lilbow does pull the probes out of the base, and now struggling a little bit to deal with this. A couple of Stalkers have got to be careful. They do pick off the Marauders. There's nowhere slow to worry about. But normally when you kite Marines, it's 1 or 2 at a time, not 17.
Yeah, and Blink just finished, and he didn't notice, so that one was not back. Probes cannot come back. They will get murdered by the Marines.
The blink control is being handled really well by Lilbow. I mean, he's making a lot happen with units that should have died a long time ago, but at the same time, Gumiho's just saying, screw it. If you're not going to fight me, I'll kill your pylons. I'll kill your Nexus. I'll kill your assimilators.
I didn't think it was going to be devastating.
Oh, no. The probes came in a little bit too early. Oh, he was handling this so perfectly until just this moment.
Oh, yeah. Again, I didn't think it was going to be devastating, but it kind of is. I mean, it's bad. It's not like, oh my god, he's going to lose the game right now, but it's pretty bad.
He wasn't mining for almost a full minute. I mean, the economy loss from Lilbow was definitely hurtful, but the army loss from Gumiho, you know, he's got to deal with his counterattack now, and he's got a handful of Marines and Marauders. No medevac support, no widow mines. He's
probably okay. Simply because there's not a proxy pylon. If there was, I'd be like, oh, Zelda's going to warp in, but he's still on 2 gateways. Again, like bringing it back to that point, if he had 3 gateways immediately worth of Blink Stalkers, he handles that so much easier, no problem. But now he took like a lot of damage, only barely just survived, simply because, like, you know, Blink did finish eventually. And well, he's got to go into a macro game and actually chooses to go for a double forge after this. I don't know.
Ooh, picks off a medevac. That's going to sting.
Nice.
Marauder also going to fall. Man, these Stalkers just in the right spot at the right time. They're going to get combat shields. Oh, this isn't devastating like picking up Stim, but this does hurt.
Yeah, it does.
Oh, I like that choice to go for the low ground on level 2 instead of level 1, I guess? I don't know. He knew that this army was coming back as that observer, so running for his life. Picks up an SCV on the way because, you know, why not hit and run?
Very nice. Very nice. It's still, like, is a problem, though, that he's not buying all the time in the world with Blink Stalkers. They will get caught. There's Martyr Slow. And they're just, you know, now they're down to 5, which isn't a lot. So he's getting a Colossus. He's getting the Extended Thermal Lance. But Gumiho is like a big army, doubling the army supply. Those double forges have actually not even begun their upgrades.
But it's really hard to look at that army supply and be like, well, he's screwed. Because, I mean, there's a good chunk of that in medevacs. We got Colossus coming up for Area of Effect. I don't think Lilbow's going to have an impossible hold, but it's still going to be tough. You're right. Like, the army supply difference is huge.
It's not that. It's less about just attacking head on, which I think he actually could do if Lilbow was just like down on the natural. It's just like it's going to be so hard to split up your army on 2 fronts. Getting a 3rd, I don't think is ever going to happen. Did he cancel a double forge? Is that what happened? That is what happened.
Okay, hold up. If Gumiho actually just attacks in one consolidated force like this, and there aren't drops to go off, I mean, this is Lilbow's best case scenario.
I don't know. Gumiho some pretty good micro, and the extended balance is not done.
Oh, this voice filter perhaps not the greatest, and no mothership core means no foot on overcharge. Widowman's going to start burning on the front lines. Shot's going to go off, Blink away with those Stalkers, and then the Colossus coming from the high ground. Oh, but he's stimming for to pick off this one. Does fall, and I think Lilbow is done for.
Yeah. This isn't a killing blow now. It will be later. You can pick up those Marauders, maybe try that drop onto the Colossus. Doesn't need it.
He just kills it there right at the very end. Gumiho will take game number 1. Man, that pressure at the natural, that usually doesn't get so out of hand, but one of those times, man, Gumiho really exploited it. Killed a lot of those probes, too. I still don't know why Lilbow brought them back as soon as he did. Those were doing a great job dancing away for safety elsewhere. But, yeah, it all went pretty downhill as soon as that move happened. But, all right, game number 1, but just game number 1, guys. We're going to hop to game number 2. It's Foxtrot Labs. This one's Gumiho.